So when we talk about wealth today, there's ways that I look at wealth before I get to financial wealth that I think we should talk about. When I was young growing up, I did not have money in the family. I grew up in a very poor family. I was the only Black person in an all white family. And we were like the family that genuinely you would get we go to Goodwill. So when you drop a bag off to Goodwill, that doesn't always go in the racks. Sometimes it goes into bags in the back. And when people go and say, hey, do you have anything left over? That's the bag they would give out, stuff they couldn't put in the racks. And we would get that. And so in the middle of this area, we had like 3 rooms in the house. We would actually have a bag that I would tear open, get a shirt, take it out, and I'd go to school. And I would go to school. And I remember one day, this girl named Alicia walks up, black shirt, and it was wrinkled on it. It was such a wrinkled shirt, you couldn't actually read the logo on it. I mean, a bunch of little wrinkles. And she made fun of me. And I remember that moment, I was like, man, I do not like how this feels. And it sucked. At the same time, I was the kid that had these black Nike Cortez, but I had the canvas ones, couldn't afford the leather ones. And I got 1 pair of shoes a year. But I was like an active kid. I'm running around doing stuff all day, right? So I would wear in the side of my shoes a hole and my toes would stick out with my dirty socks. And what I would do is in class, I would lace it up with a paper clip. I laugh about it now because my best friends, we laugh about it now. Like they still poke fun of me, but I make more than them now, so they can't make too much fun. Like we have a different life. But I'm going to tell you how I got to that point. For me, when I look at it is I also lived in a family, if I'm being honest, that when I grew up, everyone in my family was out of shape. They were not healthy. And because they weren't healthy, like there's a certain level at which their life couldn't progress into. I think there was a physical health that affected the mental perspective of their abilities and health. And it didn't lead to having what I believe is great relationships with themselves, with each other, or other people in the world. And I believe if you want to create financial wealth, you have to be really, really well-versed at creating great relationships. But if you don't have first a relationship with yourself because your physical health is off, you can't create great relationships outside of yourself. Because if you can't treat you right, how do you treat other people right? But if you do it properly and you take care of yourself, it leads to great wealth in relationships, connections, even if it's a client interaction and relationship, right? It may not even be an intimate one or a friendship one or a parenting one, but a client relationship to where this person loves you so much and how you serve them that they then hire you again or you get more clients. Now your financial wealth grows. But whatever it is, it's relationships that lead into financial wealth, in my opinion, as well as aspects that are beyond the financial wealth, emotional wealth and joyous wealth and sense of self, right? But it trickles back to physical to relationship to financial. That is what I believe in my life, at least, has created this life that I get to live and I get to share and help other people create now. So we trickle it back. We're going to start with physical wealth. Now, I believe that physical wealth should be your own set scale. So I want you to make sure you're clear on this. I am not going to tell you that physical wealth means you got to walk around in a 6-pack and you got to have veins popping out everywhere. That is not physical wealth. In fact, if you look at most people who are on those stages all greased up and tanned up and veiny, they will tell you they are the most unhappy because they haven't drank water in a week. Like, it is not the most joyous experience. But we put this on display like Arnold Schwarzenegger is all the crazy things, but it's really not the case, right? There's areas where you can be physically wealthy if you can take a walk up a hill. If you can go out with your friends and stay up late enough, you can focus for a long period of time, right? So I want you to set the scale for yourself. Maybe write it down now of what is the perspective of what physical wealth is for you. What is that goal for you? And do not do it with a comparison to any other soul on the earth. It has nothing to do with the person who can run a triathlon, because I can't do that, or can go do American Ninja Warrior, which I can do, or can go and swim for 50 miles, right? I can't do that. There's things that other people can do that we can't. You cannot put your staple of approval of self on some arbitrary outside the realm perspective, but make sure it's something that when it's hard to accomplish it, oh, you feel proud about it. Don't make it too easy, because if it's too easy, your brain knows. Your brain knows. It's called cognitive dissonance. Your brain knows it's not the truth. Your brain won't let you latch onto it, right? So put something that makes you feel confident when you get to a point of being up there. So first thing, let's talk about one of the things that's the most important part of health. We know what we want to do now. Let's say we have a physical wealth goal in mind. I believe beyond any aspect of working out, there's also going to be the thing that matters the most, which is our food. The nutritional aspect to it. There are actually people who believe, and I don't know if I fully believe this, but if you think about it, your body naturally has a metabolism running. There's what's called your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. We naturally burn calories right, like every day. I'm burning calories right now, more than I would sitting on my couch doing nothing, right? But if I think about it, if that's running and I fuel it properly, My body can eventually get to the point where it can slowly lose weight without exercise. It takes a lot of time and energy. I do not even recommend doing it because it's a lot. You might even get to the point of being angry because you're hungry. We call it hangry. Let's not do that. But let's just talk about the food part. We all know we put things in our mouth we shouldn't put in our mouth that go into our body and don't make us look the way we want. I am going to include myself in that. Yesterday, I had a bag of chips because I was hungry, and I opened my kids' packets of lunch chips and I ate one. I'm not going to lie, I ate a bag of chips. Not that I do it every day, but like I eat those things because I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm human, right? But here's a reality. A lot of people know we can eat differently and we can eat better, but here's where it becomes an issue. And give me a thumbs up if this has happened to you. You know you're trying to eat healthy. You know you want to eat the right food. Had a long day. You come home. You got the food you can cook with the food you can heat up, but it's a long day. And you go, I just don't feel like cooking. I'm going to go ahead and just eat this thing that's probably not the greatest, but I got a meal. Anybody ever had this happen to them before? You give a thumbs up if you want in the chat. I'm sure it's happened. We got these. Let's see if we I got people throwing their hands. I guess the hands up there in the video. So I know that this has happened to me. And the biggest thing most people want is go, man, I want to be able to turn my brain off and just eat without having to think about the calories and all the craziness. And this is the hardest thing for most individuals. And what I found is you can do that if you do the simple stuff, but we complicate it by going, what's the perfect diet? So I'm going to give you a habit that is very, very useful for you to establish a food foundation. Very simple habit. Before you think of the perfect diet, get good at creating a simple structure of being able to make food, eat food. Because here's what we call food prep that people complicate. They go, food prep, I'm going to make it amazing and dizzle, sizzle, sazzle, and it's all great. It's not going to be that way, and it shouldn't. And before I can give you a matter of like calories and what protein and carbs, you got to get good at just buying food, making food, eating food. Buy food, make food, eat food. This is how it works. You get a really basic, if you want to call it menu, just get hamburger or chicken if you eat meat. If you don't, find other things that are going to be plant-based. And you go to the store one day and buy it. And then you come home on that same day and you cook it, set aside a couple hours, and then you put it in containers and you leave it in the fridge. And then what you do is eat it. Because here's the crazy thing. Some people, they will buy the food, not cook it. Some will buy the food, cook it, and not eat it. It'll go bad because they had something else, was a rush, right? So you must be able to set little reminders in your phone that goes, I bought the food, I made the food, I cooked the food. And the easier you can make it, the better, because what you're trying to do is develop a habit of buy food, cook food, eat food. That's it. Buy food, cook food, eat food. Do that for a couple of weeks. Now that we can buy food, make food, eat food, because I reminded myself, hey, this is your lunch. So get it in your bag before you head out the door. Or, hey, this is your dinner. When you come home, eat that dinner, right? Whatever it is, do it. And you develop a habit of buy food, cook food, eat food. Now what happens, I go to the next level and I go, oh, buy food, cook food, eat food. Great. What if I change what I'm buying? Change what I'm cooking. I'm still buying food, making food, eating food. Now you adjust a little bit of what you're buying, cooking, and then what you eat is more delicious. Before you go to the route of I got to have this many carbs and this many stuff, that's a lot more to take on top of buy food, cook food, eat food. Don't start there. Buy food, cook food, eat food. This is from my years, just so you know, of owning a gym and training people and realizing all these amazing diets they're not following because it's too complicated and they don't have a foundational habit of simply buy food, make food, eat food. So that's the first part. Find some simple things that you can make and you can season a little bit to make it somewhat enjoyable. But once that habit is in place, then step into being more creative because the habit's already in place and it goes from the prefrontal cortex of processing and thinking back to the hippocampus where it becomes more natural, like riding a bike. In the beginning of riding a bike, it's hard. Then it goes to like, oh, okay, I could do it and talk on the phone and chew gum and pop wheelies, right? Do that for your process of getting the food proper so your health gets proper. Here's a cool thing. In doing that, you feel good about yourself. If I feel good, man, I ate the food, I feel really, really good. Like I've been buying food, making food, eating food. My body feels good. I have more energy to interact with people. I feel more confident in myself. I can go out to the world and feel better. And then what happens is the world is a mirror to you. This is where we'll lead into relationships in a moment, but the world gets to see you happy and joyous because you're proud of you. And the world goes, wow, I see you're proud of you. Like that, man. Can I have a conversation? Can we eat? Can we hang out? Because they want to be around that kind of joy emanating from a person.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.